morning. I'm Mayor Tommy Roberts. Welcome back to the Mayor's Table. My guest this morning is Kenny Anderson, who is the Vice Chair of the Farmington Boys and Girls Club Board of Directors. Welcome, Kenny.
Thank you, Mary. Glad to be here.
It's good to have you here, and it's always nice to be able to talk about the Farmington Boys and Girls Club. It's an organization that has been providing needed services for boys and girls in our community for many, many years. And we appreciate all of the volunteers who have helped to provide the leadership to conduct the programs that are provided to those kids in our community. Specifically today, I want to talk about the proposed new teen center. And you've been involved in that effort to raise the monies for the construction of new space at the Boys and Girls Club. The facility is probably about 20 years old now, and
pretty close.
So we've been told that you're outgrowing that space and need more space. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the teen center?
For sure. Yeah, it's a great problem that we have at the Boys and Girls Club right now, Mayor. Our attendance at the club this year is up about 33%. I guess that's over about the last 2 years. And our teens, that program's grown almost 50% in the last 2 years. So when I joined the board, there was less than 5 teens at the club. In our summer program this year, we're seeing 40 to 60 kids a day in the teenage category. So it's a very good problem to have. We're just out of space.
What's driving that need, in your opinion?
I think there's a number of things. I think number one, the economy where it's at right now. You know, Farmington is hurting a little bit. And we typically see a spike as our services are needed. We see a little bit of a spike. A bigger piece of that, though, is I think the club is starting to tell their story again. For many years, you know, the club was just where everybody went. I went there as a kid. I played basketball there. My mother was a part of that board, and back in the Quonset hut days, and that's just what we did. Anymore, things with social media. There's so many other things in town that the kids could be doing. And the Boys and Girls Club, we just started to tell our story again, you know.
What does the typical teen look like who's coming to the club now and who's in need of these kinds of opportunities?
It's interesting because, you know, the story was, you know, the Boys and Girls Club of Farmington is for kids that are, you know, lower income kids that are in trouble, and that's really not the case. What we're seeing is a mixed demographic of kids that need to go to the club because their parents are working, and we have a number of kids that go to the club, especially in the teenage category, that say this is where I go. That way I don't have to sit at home and do nothing, look at social media. I get to go experience programs and growth and meet new friends, and so we have a very wide demographic attending the club today.
Good. You've designed what this new space is going to look like. You've got cost estimates for its construction. Let's talk about those things here. Where will this new space be located?
So it's actually attached to the main club today. It's on the south end of the club where we have an enclosed patio. When the building was built, and actually just a quick story on that, the city actually did a bond and the community voted to build that building, which is quite unusual for a nonprofit to have a publicly funded building put together for them. So kudos to the residents of Farmington for that. But when they did that work, it was pretty obvious, looking at the plans today from 20 years ago, that they had intended an expansion of the building in that space. And so we're going to take advantage of that. About 3/4 of the walls are there. The foundation looks good to build on, and hopefully some cost savings there. As far as design, we really felt that the teens needed to be a part of their space. And so we asked the teens, what is it that you want? If we're going to build you a teen center, number one, it's not a handout. How are you going to participate in that project? How are you going to give back to your club, your community? All of those things came into play in the design of it. And the teens really said, we want a few things. Number one, we want a place that, I think one young lady said, I play the cello when my parents really have a hard time with me practicing at home at 6 o'clock at night after a long day of work. And she said, I would really love a quiet space to play my cello. And so the teens went in and designed a music and media room where they can play their music, they can work on mixing music and video editing and all of those types of things. The space will include a conference room for the Keystone Club. The Keystone Club is a group of teens that contributes to the community. Lots of community service work, but they asked for a place where they could meet without having to kick kids out of other rooms for a private conversation. And so we've got a nice conference center in there that will handle some of the programming, it'll handle some of the meetings, and also be a great place for a library and just some quiet time for the teens to be. And I think the main thing they were looking for, they wanted a Taco Bell in the teen center. Unfortunately, we're not able to put a full Taco Bell, but we'll probably do a snack bar for them. And they said, you know, we really love being a part of the club with the littles, but we also want our own space where we can eat and hang out and kind of have more grown-up conversations. So it'll have their own snack bar in there, and then finally just a place where they call it a chill room or a place just to hang out and have conversation.
How large will that space be?
We're looking to add just under 2,600 square feet.
Okay, so that's a good size addition.
It is.
What's the projected cost for that construction?
Right now we're looking at about $475,000, $200,000 of which the club has raised between grants, private donations, business, some fundraisers, and just recently with the city council approving us for the CDBG funding, that's going to give us another $239,000. So we're nearly at our goal.
Yeah. For the benefit of our viewers, the CDBG monies are community development block grant funds that we receive from the federal government. It's part of our status as a metropolitan statistical area, so we're entitled to receive some of these federal monies for distribution throughout our community. There are some guidelines on how that money is to be used, but we will, each year we make a decision as to a capital improvement project or projects, and then there are social service projects that we can allocate money towards as well. This year we had about $235,000 available CDBG monies to allocate toward a capital project. Through some maneuvering of the requirements, we were able to generate another $4,000 or $5,000 for a total of $239,000 that was available, and the council considered about 4 different projects for allocation purposes. The council ultimately decided that the full $239,000 for 2017 should be allocated to this construction project for the Boys and Girls Club, and I believe the council was very happy to do that, saw the benefit of doing that, saw the wisdom,
Sure.
Saw the need. So Boys and Girls Club made a strong presentation that evening and resulted in the decision that was made. You're a little bit short of your $475,000 need, and that number may grow. You never
Sure.
know. So do you have some other plans to continue to fundraise?
We do. We do a national appeal, or a annual appeal, I guess, to the residents of Farmington and San Juan County, and we're really going to focus that appeal this year toward a designation toward the teen center at the Boys and Girls Club. The other options we have, John Oliphant, as you recall, was a long-standing influence in the Farmington Boys and Girls Club, and John passed away back in January of this year. There is a committee that's pulled together to look at memorializing John Oliphant, and we're going to be doing some fundraising options through that as well. So, what I can say is the community in total is so generous. Even in times of tough economic times, the community is there for our kids and is there for this particular nonprofit. And I would love to appeal anyone who would donate $5 to $5,000. Every little bit helps. And those things are going to go to part of the programming to make sure that we have the right furnishings, the right equipment for the teens to get the most out of their space.
Well, as you mentioned, this is a city-owned building, and the city provides for most of the major maintenance repair
Sure.
items, but it made a lot of sense that since it is a city-owned facility that the city would contribute some significant portion of the cost of the construction of
For sure.
additional needed space. So let's wind this conversation up, and let's tell our viewers, when do you anticipate construction to begin and when it would be a completed project?
Sure. Well, with the CDBG funding, obviously we have some timelines that we have to meet, which we're very, very excited to be able to have that opportunity. Our current plan right now is to have a teen center completed by the fall of next year. So what we're looking at is starting down the road and get our architectural drawings done, and then hopefully starting construction near the first quarter of 2018.
We'll look forward to watching that project unfold. I always think it's fun to watch a project from start to finish, and there's a lot of anticipation about the finished product, and then seeing people actually occupy the space. And in this case, we know going to be kids occupying the space. City Council feels good about the investment that it has made. Here, it's an investment in kids, and we think that will pay dividends later on
For sure.
in those kids' lives. So, Kenny, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, one thing I'd like to say to all the teens at the Boys and Girls Club that are watching is you guys did this. And so, as you recall at the City Council meeting, the teens are the ones that got up and talked to the City Council. And I'd like to thank the council and you for giving them the opportunity to be a part of that process.
Thank you for your efforts in this project as well, and thank you for supporting kids. We want to thank all of you as well for joining us here on the Mayor's Table this morning. We'll look forward to seeing you again next Monday.